And then the third part is, so far it's been quite linear, and as public goods, a lot of marine reserves are created and managed by government and then supported by philanthropy. But the third piece of the puzzle, once people are inspired and enabled, is how do they do it? And new financing, including marine reserves, is kind of concessions. You can get a concession for a fish farm, for example, quite easily. Why doesn't nature have a concession? So if we have marine reserves boosting both fishing and tourism and geography, that's another example of like a different way of thinking. And having private businesses think about marine reserves as long-term investments instead of governments thinking of them as another line on the budget that's expensive.
So businesses participating in marine reserves, would that be like protecting the area? It looks nice, so you can get tourists and use that as some sort of business model. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, basically, we know that when a place is protected, people want to come see it. And so there's dive tourism inside the reserve, and then the spillover the fish replenishes the fisheries outside. So you can create a model that allows for both tourism and fishing to benefit in the geography. And so if those stakeholders, or in this case, even cooperative shareholders, got together and figured out the timing of that replenishment, both would hugely benefit. And there's bridge financing like philanthropy available for the conservation and business planning for both. So that's one example of how the model could work.
Is there a concern that governments and whoever else is setting up these marine protected areas that they could set them up but not really be as ambitious as they could be? And I suppose an example of that would be not having them completely no-take and allowing some sort of fishing to happen or some other activity that will be not beneficial to the environment. Could that happen, and governments and people setting this up, they could almost fudge, reaching this target?
Yeah, for sure. I think given the time of we're trying to quadruple ocean protection in the next 6 years, since the ocean is currently under only about 8% of some form of protection. So there is a worry that there would just be more paper parks and announcements just to get to the 30%, which would be really bad. We obviously would want effective marine spatial planning and the right size of park and the right design of park. And as far as people fishing, I mean, we know that in as little as 2 years, a no-take reserve can replenish the fisheries around it. So it's a pretty short, an amazing return on investment in a short amount of time. But also, there are places where OECMs are important. We work with some smallholder marine reserves where there's a lot of smallholder fishing, but then they also know that a no-take area within that would be help replenish the fisheries. So it needs to be well balanced and have the right replenishment of no-take, but it's not to displace people in any way. It's to really help people and have fish forever.
Do you think we will get there to 30% by 2030?
I think we will make a lot of progress. I think some countries will make more than others, and some have already done it. And I think that there are those that have a ways to go can learn from the leaders. And I think one of the things that we want this study to do is really raise ambition, not intimidate people, but really have us understand the scale of the issue and have groups learning as much as possible from each other so that we can unleash a movement and almost a revolution so that we can get as close to that as we possibly can.
For today, so head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, Soy Fua.
RNZ Pacific. Find us online at rnzi.com.